This was a video that I started making about 6 months ago and I just never got around to finishing it. It's a match that took place at the beginning of October 2023, and it has commentary that I recorded over it. This video was inspired by a similar video I made all those years ago back in Mordhau, under a similar title. I've never produced a video like this before and with this style of commentary, so be sure to let me know your thoughts. Otherwise, enjoy. So, I'm going to try and do some live commentary over some gameplay here of Aberfell. I'm playing as a footman with a halberd, and my secondary is the short sword, because, you know, that's just one of the best secondaries in the game. The first thing you'll probably notice is I'm playing third person now, rather than first. So, justification for that is, well, I just wanted to try third person, because it's been a while since I last played Civ. It's been like 2 years since I've used third person. In these last few videos I've mainly done first person, but this is my first game back where I decided to go, hey, I'll just see how third person is, because it's been a while, and yeah, this ends up being quite a good game for me. And honestly, I'm going to chalk that up to third person, because just the sheer amount of awareness you get with this perspective is insane. Just being able to see around your entire player model is such a boon. Like, I can see people behind me off to my sides, and it also means my attack inflation is so much easier to control. I know exactly how my attacks work, and I can really min-max the extent to which I drag them out too because of that. That's always been the case in Chivalry and Mordhau, but it's just even more of the case here in Civ 2 because the sheer arc each weapon has is absurd. I just want to call attention to what's going on right now. Is my friend Slav here is basically like 1v5ing these guys, and I'm just trying to support him as well. You'll notice that I'm always trying to defend the flanks that have really stopped these guys from getting behind us, because the minute that happens to him or me, it's over. And yeah, he mopped them up, and that was, honestly, that was all him. I'll credit where credit's due. Good job, Slav. So I'm moving to reinforce the left side here because, well, I noticed the entire enemy wave is here. You'll notice I'm always trying to stick with my team and play around my team. Very rarely do I actually go off and try and fight a bunch of people on my own. It's just because that isn't really an efficient use of my time. Like, don't get me wrong, it is fun going in 1vxing a bunch of people, but especially since it's been a couple of years, so I'm a little bit out of practice, and on top of that, people have gone a little bit better on average, so it's really unreliable to 1vx people. And that being said, it's still just as reliable as ever to play around your team and support them by stabbing around and flanking and just out-positioning, because game sense is something that is a lot harder to accrue rather than pure mechanical skill. That's why there's such a big disparity between a lot of people that duel and a lot of people that team fight and stuff. And that's always been the case with Chivalry and Mordhau. So again, you see this person's cut off, so that's a very easy kill. Like when you're on your own like that, it's just, if you're against anyone that has any idea how to play these games, you're just screwed. You'll find I don't actually do much of the objective myself, like picking up the peasants and stuff. I will occasionally if there's like some downtime, but I like to just be very aggressive in the sense of meeting the enemies and fighting around my team, and then let the other people do the objective. Because there's always, when you're playing in big 64 player matches, and even in Civ 1 if there's 32 player matches, like, there's always some people that focus primarily the objective, and then my skill set can be used to help keep some of these other guys out of the way. I don't really have to heal here, but I see I've got a bunch of teammates there, and my friend Slav seems to be doing alright there, so I don't feel the need to go help him. Because here's the problem with Civ 2, and even Mordhau, it's actually, like, counterintuitively, having a lot of people attacking one guy can actually be more of a hindrance. Not because of like friendly fire and stuff, but because the way 1vx has worked in Mordhau and Civ 2 is that the one person tends to get an advantage whenever they can get a riposte or a counter off, because they get an active parry and they can just block everything. So it's always better to just, like, the best thing you can do in a situation where you're fighting a single person is to really slow it down, because that gives them almost no options and you can always sneak in attacks. that being said, if you are very conscious of when they're blocking, you can like be very aggressive and get a kick off and open up their guard. But you have to be very sure that you time it before your teammate sends out their attack that they can counter. Right here, I think I see that, yeah, there's a bunch of enemies there, so I'm immediately like pulling back to try and find teammates. If I had no teammates there, I would have just ran away, because there's not much sense in me just spending my life there and dying to 5 people that they could very easily mop me up. So I'm always trying to keep the enemies in front of me, or to one side of me at least. Right here I noticed that they'd push through quite a bit to the other side of the barrels, so I come over and help reinforce. I don't know why I pulled out the spikes. I must have confused my special item for something else at the time. Because I'm used to having the throwing weapon backup on the knight or the ambusher, because even back to Civ 1, it was always nice having the throwing weapons as like a utility option, just because, you know, you pull back a little bit, to get some breathing room, and you can just quickly chuck in some throwing weapons and then just move on. Just my friend here, which is nice. Get the voice commands off for a bit of roleplay action, because you got to get into it. I didn't really, I think I played this map once when it first released, a few years back. I actually don't know when it came out, but whenever I released my last Civ 2 video, the Unbearable Discussion one, I really just completely stopped playing Civ and just moved on to other games. But yeah, so this is, this last week or so is the real time, is the only real chance I've had to play some of these new maps like Aberfell and Galencourt, and also the Tenosian stuff. And I've got to say, I actually enjoy this Highlands map quite a bit. The first objective is a bit messy, it's not really structured at all, but once you get past the first objective and you get to the watchtower and then this hamlet, it's just, I don't know, you just get a really nice front line. It flows really well, and yeah, it's good stuff. And also it's a nice looking map despite it just being an open field. You know, sometimes keeping it simple is the way to go. Dortmund has always been really good at the team objective map design, which is awesome. It's something that Chivalry has had over Mordhau quite easily. Oh, it's stuck on the train there, that was very odd. But yeah, mop that guy up. Move over here, help support these guys. It's a bit risky for me to run around that guy because he could have gone the stab off, but luckily my teammate came in and interrupted him. Generally, if you are moving fast enough like I was, you can outpace the turn cap of the weapon, so you can almost bait out a miss if they don't aim their stab to account for that. We're just sort of clearing them up here. I believe this match is actually pretty even up until this point, like kill-wise. I think we're only like 50 kills or so ahead, which is, you know, it's not unreasonable. Because, you know, you always expect the attackers to be at least a little bit ahead on kills, if not dead even with the defenders. But naturally, if you're progressing for the map, then the attackers will have more kills, because how else would they be progressing? But from this point onwards, it does become a bit more one-sided to the attackers here. I think by the end of the match, it ends up being like 100, 200 kills ahead. Yeah, almost 2 to 1, which is like unfortunate. There is a bit of team balancing issues happening these days. It's the same as Civ 1, like everyone just sort of prefers attacking, and now we'll just swap to it. And that's also got a little bit to do with just the maps as well. As good as Torn Banner team objective is, I think they do tend to try and weigh them in favor of the attackers a little bit, just so you can see the entire map. So generally you need to have a fairly stacked defensive team to really hold them back at certain objectives. Generally Aberfell's quite good for it though, like maps like Coxwell are pretty much, they're very attacker-sided for sure. I've kind of forgotten to talk a bit more about my actual decision making here, but what am I doing here? I'm moving around here. I'm always making sure no one's sneaking around the flanks, because there's always at least someone doing it. So I'm like the counter flanker in a sense. That's what I like to do. Because all it takes is one person sometimes to really screw things up here. Let's see this guy kind of split off, so we deal with him. get the rock, which is nice. Join the front line here for a bit of a brawl. Because I noticed they were pushing us back a little bit, so I decided to reinforce it. And now I'm just, you know, at this point, once they've lost like a third of their forces, it just starts to snowball very quickly. And actually, down my teammate there, but luckily he gets back up. Oh, luckily that guy missed me though. Oh, cheeky swing there. I did not see that coming. Now we get a nice little duel. Yeah, nice. Good fight. Nope, stuck in the geometry. I find there's just some parts of these maps where you just get caught on stuff, which is very unfortunate. Oh, managed to just outspace this guy. Oh, I fuck up the stab drag there, unfortunately. Can knock them off. Or feint, whatever they're called in this game. So all these melee games have different terminology every time. Notice that guy flanking, so I'm going to try and help slow him down. In this situation right here, I'm actually not too happy with this because they've actually got more troops here. But then we get reinforcements, so I re-engage. Some people might think that I just left my teammate to die there, which is like half true, but the thing is, like, he really needed to fall back because that was not a desirable spot to be in. Like, especially when he's like let a team, like an enemy, run past him. The minute anyone gets behind you in these games, I can't stress enough, it's a death sentence. There's also the fact too that whenever you play around randoms in big team objectives and stuff, you can't always rely on them to be able to target swap with you. Otherwise, if that was with a friend of mine, we'd be target swapping and would be able to trust each other to be able to do it reliably. Because if you don't have that trust, you can't be nearly as aggressive, otherwise you'll just get yourself killed. It's always better to just pull back a little bit, take stock of the situation, and then engage. That's very unlucky, that archer. I'm not sure how that guy didn't see me, maybe he was in first person. But yeah, like, the minute you see an entire force of Pagathians charging up the hill and you don't have anyone by your side, yeah, just get out of there. It's not worth taking that fight. Because as you can see, it just doesn't slow us down at all. Still poke. Stab. And this is the final stretch at this point. I actually get a bit scared in this last part because usually I keep getting super involved and aggressive in these matches, but when you're having like such a good run like this, like you really don't want to make that one small mistake that just costs you a fairly nice run. You'll notice I play a little bit more passive here, but I'm still going in, getting the occasional poke in, and seeing what's up, and yeah, there's the range weapon. That scares me, so I run back to regen a bit more, but I'm already regening up to full at this point, so I start to re-engage. Spawn wave on the right, so I'm immediately being very wary of going that way. And I notice, yeah, there's a few guys around here sneaking in and disrupting our front line. Range weapon, so that immediately makes me back off a little bit. I don't know how I blocked that attack, but yep. That's just a Chivalry moment, I think. I'm always making sure that, like, the minute anyone on Mason overextends, I'm there to deal with it. The reason why I didn't try avoiding stabbing my teammate's slab there is because at the moment stabs can just go through all your teammates, which I think next patch they're going to remove, but not for heavy stabs, so you still better do it, just I guess not as much. And also I just like stabbing Slav because he deserves it. He has it coming. So nice hit in there, and I immediately pull back because I notice these guys behind me, and the last thing I want is these guys to just run in behind and ruin my day. And because I'm so low on HP, I do not want to re-engage. So all it takes is one archer that sneezes in my general direction, and I'm gone. But I noticed here, on my way to move out to regen, they had pushed up a little bit in the middle, so I went to go help a little bit. That was very close. I was very fortunate that that guy just missed me. But since you're using a one-handed weapon, I had some. I sort of expected that he'd miss. Yeah, there you go. Pretty decent match for the attackers. Unfortunately, yeah, about 200 more kills than defenders. Not as bad as I've seen it before, actually. So it's not too bad, but not great. Yeah, pretty decent match. 82 takedowns, 45 kills, no deaths, and that's the halberd, and that's also just my third person is really strong. Hopefully this gameplay also demonstrates the value in playing smarter and not harder as well. Alright, well, I've had enough. I'm done with this video. See you later.